Hey there! So I'm going to show you how to do my Teko stitch, and it's a pretty easy stitch. I'd put it in the beginner category, not first project, but certainly after you've done a few. Shouldn't be too hard. Has no purls, and I'll tell you how I started it, and there will be a link for both the cast on and the cast off on this video in the description. You'll have to scroll down to see it, but I did a crochet chain cast on right there, and then I did 2 rows of owl eye to start it. Okay, and I'll be showing you how to do that stitch anyway, although I have a lot of videos, a lot of you know how to do it. I'm using 2 end pegs to do a stitch, and you can just take a look. The edge stitch I'm doing, well, maybe it's better here where we're in better light. The edge stitch I'm doing right here just blends right into the stitch, see? And it's a really nice textured stitch. If I can get it at an angle so you can see the texture. Yeah, there you go. You can see it's very textured. Because when you look at it from front on, you can't tell how textured it really is. But yeah, it's a very textured stitch, and it looks really nice. Okay, now the yarn I'm using is Premier Color Fusion Chunky in the color Cotton Candy. It's a bulky 5, and it's 100% acrylic. So it's got some nice colors in it. Okay, and the loom I'm using is a Cindy Wood loom, 5/8 inch gauge, and this particular one has 42 pegs. I'm using 12 pegs, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, 12 pegs. I should have had a marker here. Somehow I lost it. So maybe I'll just put you on pause, and I'll put the marker there, and I will be right back. Okay, so now there's a marker here too. So I have a marker on both sides, and then this black peg is the marker. Okay, the loom hook. Yes, I'm going to get asked about this loom hook. Now this loom hook I got on Etsy from a company called Touche Crochet. They make mostly crochet hooks, but they do make some loom hooks. And their designs are very unique. It's got a very nice hook on the end with a slight angle. I like those angles. That's a really pretty hook. Okay, now Teko Stitch, I like to show people this, is I usually put a clip. It's like a safety pin clip, knitting supply, and I just put it through a piece of paper, and you can get tags, but I just cut up pieces of paper. This is from Sticky Note. I got this yellowy green paper, and then I write down the stitch and the different rows, including which way I'm going with it. This is a 2-row stitch, so it tells me which way I'm going on the stitches so I don't get lost, and it just clips on really easy. If I'm doing a round project, I just clip this right onto the yarn. So, or at the bottom of the piece I'm doing, so that I remember the stitches. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I cast on, did the 2 rows of owl eye, then I went right into the stitch. Oh, I should show you the other side. I didn't do that. Here's what the other side looks like. It looks really nice too. Okay. Okay, so whenever I'm going to the right, I'm going to do owl eye stitch. Okay, so how you do owl eye, whatever peg you're on, and actually before I do that, I better make sure I've done the right amount of stitches on here. So I'm just going to take it off, and yes, I had. Got my 1 stitch on here from the edge, and I will show you how to do the edges when we get there. Okay, whatever peg you're on is peg 1, you go over peg 1 and 2, nice and loose, and then just knit them off. I was just checking to make sure they're loose. If you feel you're getting too tight, you can loosen up. Okay, whatever peg you're on is peg 1. You go in front of 1 and 2, nice and loose, and knit it off. Okay, that's the first row, owl eye. So here you are, peg 1 in front of 1 and 2, knit it off. On peg 1 in front of peg 1 and 2, knit it off. And you keep doing that all the way to the end, keeping it nice and loose. And just so you see how loose I'm keeping this, look at how loose it is. It's loose. It tightens up as you go. And then we keep going all the way to the end, because this is how we're doing our ends. So when you do the end, you've got one U-wrap going over, behind it, you wrap them both, and keep it loose. You can loosen it just to make sure those edges are loose. Okay, come back over, knit it, and then you do a second knit over it, and I'm just holding that yarn there. Okay, now we do row 2 stitch, and the row 2 stitch, you're going to go over it, behind, and over it again. Okay, this is just like you do juniper stitch, but we're not going to knit it off like we do juniper. This is juniper berry stitch for the second row. So what we do is we take the bottom loop and put it over. Okay, and then we want to put the second loop over. And how to be sure you have the second loop, okay? This is the yarn you put over, so it's going this way. You want the yarn that is pulling from here. So if you ever get mixed up, that's the one. You knit it off, and then you can pull it to just tighten it. Okay? And then we go over. Bottom one over the top. Next one over. And then pull it just to snug it up. Okay, wrap it twice, bottom one over both, next one over, and snug it up. So if you ever get mixed up, I'll show you that again. This yarn is coming from this side, so that's the bottom one. This one is connected to the top one. So you knit it over, give it a snug. Bottom one over. If you need to see this stitch more, I do have a stitch video on juniper berry stitch. Okay, and it's a modification I did of juniper stitch just so that it would get tighter, and it tightens it up so you have a tighter stitch. Okay, slightly different shape, but pretty close too. Okay. And then we come over in a U-wrap, nice and loose, wrap them both, nice and loose. Come back nice and loose, and you can loosen this up to make sure it's loose. And then we just do owl eye all the way along. Okay. It's that easy, really. Oop. I'm just at a bit of a weird angle, and I'm trying to keep this in the camera at the same time. So I have my eye not going at my work the whole time. I'm looking at the camera. There we go. And remember, you're keeping it loose, and you can always loosen it up if you find it's getting too tight. Keeping it loose. And then we do the edge, keeping it loose. I'm just going to pull some more yarn out. We're going to come back here, making sure this is loose, and knit over both these sides. Okay, you can just do it like this. You don't have to put it over there. Okay, now we're going to do this wrap twice around, bottom one over the top, next one over, and snug. Bottom one over the top, next one over, and snug. Bottom over the top, next one over, and snug. Bottom over the top, next one over, and snug. And that's all there is to it. Easy peasy. And you just sort of zip along. These are nice long stitches, so your work grows really fast. Okay, now we're going to be loose again. We're doing the owl eye edge. Okay, and that's all there is to it, and I think you've seen enough. You've seen me do the edges a few times. Okay, and you know there's just 2 rows. And so here's how it looks, and your work has grown a lot more. See? From where it was before. Beautiful textured stitch. And you can look at it from the other side. You can see what it looks like. Still textured. And then from the back. And the back the other direction too. It looks different every direction. Really like this stitch. Okay, so you can see it's nice and tight. It works for a hat if you want to do it in the round. It's pretty matchy. Doesn't look that much different. But it's not completely the same, but it's close. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a lot of fun doing the stitch. And until next time, bye.